So in previous lecture we have finished with the Clapeyron-Clausius equation, the important equation of the thermodynamics. Now we will study the partial molar properties, the new concept. So partial molar properties of a system are simply the as the name suggests. Okay, it is the partial properties and it is related with the some molal means what number of moles. Okay, so consider this as the we just break down that into the two parts, that is partial means some half of properties of a given system and molar means which depends upon the number of moles. Okay, so these partial molar properties which are like specifically extensive properties of a system which depends upon what the amount of matter. Okay, the internal energy or free energy enthalpy of a system are the thermodynamic functions which are being the extensive properties of a system. So these properties are depending upon what pressure, temperature, number of moles, etc. Okay, so these are the few parameters which will decide the or the few intensive properties. These are the intensive properties, that is pressure, temperature, number of moles, volume, etc. They will decide the that extensive properties like enthalpy, free energy, or some other okay other properties. So thus the thermodynamic functions like which is having the variables like pressure, temperature, number of moles or volume, etc. will gives you the idea about the extensive properties like free energy of a system, which is the function of what all of these parameters. Like consider this, so Gibbs free energy is the function of this pressure, volume, temperature, number of moles of various components. Okay, various components. So we need to consider the each and every component, and for this mixture there is a certain pressure value, there is a certain volume value, and there is a certain temperature value. So a small change in the magnitude of these extensive properties, so there is certainly the Gibbs free energy is going to change, like we have seen in the variation of these various properties with the temperature and pressure by using this Clapeyron and Clapeyron-Clausius equation. Okay, so that equation will tells you the change in the Gibbs free energy with the pressure or change in the Gibbs free energy with the temperature. Okay, likewise, so if we consider the another changes, like if we change the volume or if we change the number of moles of various components, so how that will going to affect the Gibbs free energy of the our system. Okay, so a small change in the magnitude of this extensive property G will be due to the change in the temperature, pressure, and also the number of moles of different component of the given system. Okay, so this gives free energy. So here we are considering just the change in the pressure, here we are considering change in the temperature, here we are considering the change in number of moles of first component, here second component. Likewise we can go up to the ith component. Okay, so now whatever the number of components present in the given system, we need to just consider that change with respect to change in that particular component. Okay, so likewise we are having the various Gibbs free energy changes, and overall there has to be some change in the overall Gibbs free energy, so we can calculate that overall Gibbs free energy change. But that will become a tedious job because we cannot have the that much variables and we cannot study the all of this variable simultaneously. Okay, so what we can do, so like we can imply certain condition to the system. Like first one condition is that we can keep the temperature and pressure for the given system constant, so that the other parameter which is left to is what is the only number of moles. So we can have the knowledge of number of moles for the specific component. So if we keep these two variables, that is pressure and temperature, constant, we can certainly be able to predict the change in the Gibbs free energy for the given system based upon the change in the number of moles of specific component, either that is first component or second component. Likewise, so this change in the property of a system, here we are studying about what gives free energy or the free energy simply. So change in free energy with respect to change in the number of moles of that specific component is called as a partial molar free energy of a system. So we can say that this term, that is simply dg upon dn1 by keeping temperature, pressure, number of moles of other component constant is simply called as a partial molar free energy, and it is denoted by G bar 1, G bar 2. Okay, just simply the suffix is used for the specific component. For first component 1, second component 2, likewise. So similarly we can have the knowledge of about partial molar volume and partial molar pressure. Okay, partial molar volume and partial molar pressure. So what is the value for this? It is simply dV upon dN1, and here dP upon dN1. So hence we can define this partial molar property of a system by using what? So the partial molar property of a system or the component is defined as the change in the magnitude of that particular property of a system due to change in the addition of a 1 mole of that component to such a large quantity that addition of this 1 mole does not alter the temperature, pressure and the composition of the overall system. Okay, so we just consider the addition of 1 mole of particular component into the system, so that there is not a large change in the temperature, pressure and the composition of the given system. Okay, so in short we can say that this partial molar properties also can be defined as the change in the magnitude of that particular extensive property of a system per mole. Okay, simply per mole means that for 1 mole. Okay, so change in the magnitude of extensive property of a system per mole can be defined as the partial molar property. Okay, so now consider first example of the partial molar volume. Okay, so partial molar volume can be defined as what? The change in volume with respect to change in the number of that change in the number of moles for that particular component. Okay, so by the definition of partial molar property we can say that this V1 or Vi bar is equals to what? dV upon dNi, where Ni is the ith component or the number of moles of ith component. Okay, so other components, other, that is other number of moles, and the temperature and pressure is kept constant. So the partial molar volume can be also be defined as the change in the volume when 1 mole of ith component is being added to the large quantity of a system, such that the volume of system does not alter at fixed temperature and pressure. Okay, now for the binary system there are the 4 variables. Likewise, for the binary system there is temperature, pressure variables, then number of moles for the first component and number of moles for the second component. So likewise we are having total 4 variables. Okay, for the binary system. So okay, this is first, that is change in volume with respect to temperature, change in volume with respect to pressure, change in volume with respect to first component, and change in volume with the second component. So here in N3 will not become, because we are considering only the binary system. Okay, we are just considering the binary system. So at constant temperature, like we have considered previously also, so we can simply say that this dV at constant temperature and pressure is simply V1 bar, that is partial molar volume at constant temperature, pressure and number of moles of second component constant, plus V2 bar into dN2. Okay, so upon integrating we can say that this V is equal, that is total volume is equals to V bar 1 into N1 plus V bar 2 into N2. So this equation is useful for the calculation of total volume of the given solution. Okay, so we will see the application of this partial molar properties. Okay, so this partial molar equation gives you the total volume of binary system, which would comprises of the summation of partial molar volume of the two components. Now consider the ideal solution, like for example if we are having the 0.1 dm cube of methanol and 0.2 dm cube of ethanol. Okay, so if we are having the 0.1 dm cube of methanol and 0.2 dm cube of ethanol, and if we add these two liquids or two solutions, what is expected? So we are expecting 0.3 dm cube of methanol and ethanol mixture. Okay, so experimentally also we are getting this 0.3 dm cube only. But if we consider the 0.1 dm cube of acetone and 0.1 dm cube of ethanol, and when these two liquids are mixed together, so we are expecting what? We are expecting 0.2 dm cube of that mixture, but we are only getting 0.19 dm cube of that mixture and not the 0.20 dm cube. So because there are some more attractive forces like for the real solution, and there is a quite interaction between these liquids. Okay? So in such cases the volume can be determined by using the above equation, that is partial molar volume equation. Okay, so this equation is quite useful for the ideal solutions in order to calculate the partial molar properties, like we can calculate volume. Similarly we can calculate the Gibbs free energy. Okay, like we here see this, how to calculate this Gibbs free energy or the partial molar free energy. This is also called as chemical potential. Okay, so sometime you might be asked about find out the chemical potential for the given system. So there we need to find out what, we just need to find out the partial molar free energy. So we know that the formula for the Gibbs partial molar free property is what, is change in that property with respect to change in the number of moles. Okay, so as derived earlier, the partial molar free energy can be defined as the Gi bar is equals to what, dg upon dni, keeping the other terms constant, that is temperature, pressure, as well as other number of moles of the specific components are kept constant. Okay, so thus the partial molar free energy is change in the free energy of a system by the addition of one mole of ith component, where the other components pressure and temperature are kept constant. So this is also called as a chemical potential, and here we are going to have the one change. Okay, so this chemical potential is just being the intensive property. Okay, so this kept in mind, this we will see how this is being in the intensive property, but just keep in mind that this chemical potential mu is the intensive property and not the extensive property. Okay, so it is the property which is denoted by the reactivity of the given system. Now consider the derivation part for this. Okay, so again we will represent this dg as what, dg upon dp, keeping other terms constant. Similarly dg upon dt, keeping other term constant, up to so on. Okay, here we are considering dg upon dn1, that is number of moles for first component, keeping the other terms constant likewise. Okay, so at constant temperature and pressure, other terms, this and this term can be neglected. So we have been left with only this. Okay, dn1, sorry, dg upon dn1, keeping the other number of moles constant, plus dg upon dn2, keeping the other number of moles constant. So simply we can write dg is equals to mu1 dn1 plus mu2 dn2. So upon integration of this equation, we can simply say that dg is equals to mu1 n1 plus mu2 n2. Okay, so overall we can find out the chemical potential for the partial molar Gibbs free energy for the given system. Okay, so in general we can say that this Gibbs free energy is the summation of product of chemical potential and number of moles for the specific component. So for the pure component, we can have the Gibbs free energy as what, n into mu or n into g bar, because mu is simply a g bar. So we can say that this mu, which is equals to g bar, is equals to Gibbs free energy per mole. Okay, so chemical potential can be defined by its free energy per moles, and this we have already defined this free energy per moles. Okay, we have already defined this chemical potential as what, free energy per mole. So there is a like there is a restriction of number of moles now. So we can say that these properties are now become independent of number of moles, because this Gibbs free energy per mole is simply the chemical potential. So we can say that this Gibbs chemical potential mu is the intensive property. Okay, so this is the chemical potential. So in order to relate this chemical potential with change in number of moles, there is a one famous equation, that is Gibbs Duhem equation. So we can consider the derivation part in the next lecture. Okay.